Cruise news time. Well, the road to the restart of cruising from the U.S. is paved. It's paved with the vaccine. The sooner that passengers and crew members can get vaccinated, the sooner that cruising can restart from the U.S. And one cruise port is already vaccinating crew members. A cruise port vaccinating crew members. There's a lot going on. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, it's exciting times in cruising, probably the most exciting times since the whole shutdown happened. There is a lot of forward momentum. There is a lot of movement going forward. The big announcement just a couple days ago from the CDC, after positive dialogue between the CDC and the cruise lines, the CDC has relaxed some of their requirements for the restart of cruising, even creating a path to skip one of the phases of the cruise restart, to skip the test cruise phase. What I find really encouraging all of this is that the move by the CDC really kind of is an all-encompassing move that allows multiple ways to get to the finish line. It really boils down to two paths, and the two paths are distinguished by the approach to vaccination. Now, path number one says that if a cruise ship can sail with 98% of its crew vaccinated and 95% of its passengers vaccinated, then they can go ahead and start sailing with paying passengers without having to go through any simulated or test cruises. And that really makes the to-do list for cruise lines that are wanting to cruise with vaccinated crew and passengers pretty short. In the 2A guidance, there is a requirement for agreements between local port and health officials. And then also you've got the very transactional pieces, getting a cruise ship into port, getting crew members on that cruise ship, getting those crew members vaccinated, getting the ship provisioned. And this is now the focus of the cruise lines that plan to restart using the vaccination path. Get the agreements, get the crew on board, get them vaccinated, and get the cruise ships ready to go. And honestly, this process could happen fairly quickly. We've heard time and time again that this process of getting the cruise ship ready to cruise, 60 days, 90 days. So 60 days from now is still in June the 29th. 64 days now is July the 4th. And so if we look at mid-July, the cruise lines really have about 70 days to get going in mid-July, the cruise lines that are going to go the vaccination route. Now, there's still a lot of questions to answer around this 98% vaccinated crew, 95% vaccinated passenger. What does that mean? Are kids included in that, or will there be an exemption for kids? We see that in other places, kids can get on board with just a test. They're not required to be vaccinated. Or does this mean that everybody, including kids, have to be vaccinated? The cruise lines, as they move forward with their plans, they will define this. And so it's not really clear right now. The 5% that doesn't have to be vaccinated, is that a kid play? Is that a allergy play? Is that a, don't want to get the vaccine play? Those are still open questions. I know a lot of people have questions about that in the comments. That data is just not there right now, so you can't really answer that question. But as the cruise lines come online, we will see this. So certainly getting the signed agreements and getting them to the CDC and getting them approved, that's a big thing. But the other big thing is getting crew members on board, and then if they're following the vaccinated route, getting vaccinated crew members on board. This seems to be a challenge. Will crew members be able to get vaccinated in their home country? Well, there is starting to be a solution to that issue. We talked about it a while back when the vaccine rollout just began. Will private companies have access to the vaccine? Will foreign companies have access to the vaccine? Or will the vaccine be reserved just for U.S. citizens controlled by the government? Well, things are starting to change, at least in Florida and also in Texas. Now they have changed the rules in Florida. They have changed the laws in Florida, allowing the vaccine to be given to people that work in industries that benefit the state of Florida. That leaves us several categories of people that can now get the vaccine in Florida. But for our discussion, the ones we care about the most would be port workers, crew members on cruise ships, people that are working in cruise terminals. Those people have now been given the green light to get the vaccine in Florida, and it's already happening. Port Canaveral, the first port in the United States to start giving out vaccination to cruise ship crew members. They've been authorized to give 1,000 vaccines a day. So as cruise ships come into Port Canaveral, as they start to put crew members on those cruise ships, they will be able to get vaccinated. And so seemingly what would be a huge problem for the cruise lines. How do they get vaccinated crew members on cruise ships? It's going to happen right there at the cruise port. 1,000 vaccines a day, and that's happening at Port Canaveral. And then just starting on Monday, just 2 days from now, they're going to do the same thing at the Port of Galveston. I don't know how many shots they're going to be giving out at the Port of Galveston, but they will also be able to give the vaccine to crew members on cruise ships. Carnival, they've got 2 cruise ships going into Galveston right now, and so there will be a scenario where crew members will be able to get vaccinated right here at the cruise ports in the United States. That's exciting. So of course that leaves us with the question, will we have enough vaccinated passengers to get on cruise ships? Absolutely. A big milestone was reached in the United States. There are 100 million people fully vaccinated in the United States, getting close to 30% of the population. And everything that I've seen in the cruise community, the polls that I've run, there are a lot of vaccinated cruisers. There are a lot of people that could get on these cruise ships to restart cruising in the U.S. in mid-July. I am excited. I don't know if you can tell, but I am excited. Once the cruise restart starts this summer in the U.S., it's going to open a lot of doors. It's going to open doors for people that have been struggling to make ends meet because their cruise job has gone away. It's going to bring back a lot of foreign workers that are struggling because of the shutdown. It's really going to be a good time for anybody that loves that cruise life. Now, as I said, the vaccine guidance path isn't the only path to get cruising restarted in the U.S., and I do think that there are cruise lines that may not want to do the vaccine guidance. I'm going to tell you about that. But before I get there, let me quickly invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Be a part of this virtual cruising community by subscribing to Lido Loca with the notification bell on. It doesn't cost anything. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. Thank you in advance. Can you think of a cruise line that may not want to have a vaccine mandate? I'm thinking Disney. Now, I mentioned there are 2 paths. So that's the vaccinated path. That's the quickest path. If a cruise line decides that they do not want to follow those vaccine requirements on their cruise ship, then they still have to do the test sailing. So they have to get the agreements in place, and then they have to apply for the test sailing. Then they have to go through the test sailing process. It does seem like that's going to be a longer process, but there may be cruise lines that want to go that route. Again, depending on how kids are treated in this, a cruise line like Disney, I would assume that more than 5% of their passengers are kids. And so they're going to have to follow a different path to get cruising again. But certainly the big cruise lines, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, they all will have access to vaccinated crew members. They will all have access to vaccinated passengers. It's going to be interesting times going forward in the cruise space in the United States because the approach to vaccine is really going to be defining for these companies. There is a large amount of vaccine resistance in the United States. Large groups of people that don't want to take the vaccine, and that's also true in the cruise space. The polls that we've done, getting close to 30% of the cruisers that don't want to take the vaccine, and so the cruise companies, they have to really figure it out. They really have to work the math. Are they going to hurt themselves by requiring a vaccine? Are they going to hurt themselves by not requiring a vaccine? Certainly, these cruise companies want to get started again, and many of them will follow this quick path to get back to cruising with the vaccine requirements, but they've really got to decide what their strategy is for the long term because they do risk turning away a lot of people. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. A few months ago, I really didn't imagine that May would be the time where we would have enough vaccine to give out to foreign workers, to give out to cruise ship workers. And so that really does open the door in a big way for the restart of cruising in the US. And yeah. I'll say it again, I'm super excited. And I know not everybody is excited. That leaves us with a great question. How do you hope it happens for your favorite cruise line? What's your favorite cruise line? Do you hope they follow the vaccine path, or do you hope they don't follow the vaccine path and just go through the test sailing path? Leave a comment below. Boom, that's your cruise news. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Please show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.